Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's Sun Belt Conference Football Coaches Media Teleconference. As a reminder, this call is being recorded. We have a slight change in the schedule this morning. To start off, we are joined with the Commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference, Karl Benson. If you have a question for Commissioner Benson, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Commissioner Benson, while waiting for questions to get in the queue, would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Will do. Thanks, Travis, and good morning to everyone. Thank you for participating in today's Coaches Telecall. I thought it'd be appropriate now that we're really winding down the end of the season and the bowl talk and bowl speculation is rampant, that I provide myself an opportunity to discuss with you all where the Sun Belt's headed and where I think it's headed. A couple of reminders, clarification that the Sun Belt has guaranteed spots with the R&L Carrier New Orleans Bowl and the GoDaddy.com Bowl in Mobile. The New Orleans Bowl does receive first selection. They are not obligated to take Sun Belt champion, and once New Orleans makes its selection, then the GoDaddy Bowl is able to select. We have been in contact with several other bowls over the course of the last couple of weeks as we are preparing to enter the at-large pool of teams. We're expecting to have at least 5, if not 6, bowl-eligible teams, which would mean that we would be putting 3 or 4 teams into the at-large pool. We were successful a year ago, as you recall, with 2 at-large teams, and we're expecting that we'll have that same type of success. With that, I'll stop and entertain questions, Travis.
Thank you, Karl. As a reminder to members of the media, it is *1 to ask questions. Again, *1 to get your questions in the queue. Our first questions come from Matt Robertson with the Jonesboro Sun. Matt, please go ahead.
Hey, Mr. Benson. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Matt.
I had a question. It seemed like a couple of years ago, it was my understanding that there was an agreement originally that the champion would go to the New Orleans Bowl once every 3 years. Is that not the case? Was there never that agreement, or has that policy just been dropped?
The original contract did have language that did require New Orleans to take the Sun Belt champion twice in every 4 years. And a year ago, as we were negotiating with other bowls and as we were attempting to, as you recall, place Arkansas State into the Liberty Bowl, we needed New Orleans to pass on the champion for the best interest of the league, which they did. And with that, then that requirement in this last year of the agreement was eliminated. So there had been that requirement. Looking at it, where we are here in this 4-year cycle, they have taken Sun Belt champion one time. There's no obligation for them to take Sun Belt champion this year, but they certainly have that privilege with the number 1 selection.
You mentioned that some other bowls have contacted you in the last few weeks. Can you tell me who those bowls are and who they've been shown any interest in?
Well, it's mutual contact. This time of year, commissioners are contacting bowls, and bowls are contacting commissioners. Athletic directors are contacting bowls, as well as the speculation and some of the projections as to which conferences are not going to fill their respective spots. And thus far, I believe there's only one conference that has it's been determined that they won't fill, and that's the Pinstripe Bowl in New York City. So there's an opening. We also know that Notre Dame will be in the at-large pool. Will be there, as will BYU, that has an arrangement with a game in San Francisco. We also know that Army has not qualified for the Poinsettia Bowl, and that the Poinsettia Bowl has a backup agreement with the Mid-American Conference. I don't think any announcements have been made thus far, but it's starting to play itself out. Obviously, until the BCS championship game is determined and until we know whether a Fresno State or a Northern Illinois can break into the BCS at large, we won't know the total number of teams per conference. But the projections now are indicating that there will be some openings, or could be some openings, in bowls that would be a geographical fit for the Sun Belt. I think I'll just not elaborate any further on that, Matt.
Based on your conversations with these bowls and the records that some of the Sun Belt teams have produced, how many teams do you feel like, besides the GoDaddy and the New Orleans, do you feel like there are 1, 2, 3 chances, 3 spots possibly for Sun Belt teams?
Well, I think we're going to be in the running for several. Sometimes it's just a matter of how the stars are aligned, and one bowl selects Team A, and all of a sudden that team is off the plate, so to speak, and at some point in time it's a matter of which conference has the right team for the right place. And I've had a long time philosophy that our goal is to also take our champion, which what I was trying to do a year ago with Arkansas State, and put that team in the best possible bowl against the best possible opponent. And so that philosophy still.
One last question: have you had any specific conversations about Arkansas State and a bowl and where they might go?
I absolutely have talked to bowl directors about Arkansas State.
And I guess what could you share about those conversations?
Arkansas State has demonstrated the last 2 years that they are a very attractive bowl team. The 2 years to Mobile, their fans traveled, and they have created and established a good 2-year bowl history, which then makes my job easier to when I make a phone call to a bowl and talk about an Arkansas State or any other Sun Belt team. There's some history to go along with it.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Matt. Our next questions come from Columbia, Missouri. Caller, please identify yourself and go ahead.
Hey, Karl, it's Troy Schulte with the Democrat Gazette in Little Rock. How are you?
Very well. Good afternoon.
Hey,
good morning.
I think there's 7 schools this year that are eligible for bowls that weren't last year because they're just kind of moving up in the process, the transition process. Do you think that'll make that a little bit more difficult to get teams through in the at-large pool just because there's 4 teams out there that they can get in, you think?
A year ago, Troy, there were 72 bowl-eligible teams for 70 slots. And this year, some of the predictions and trying to estimate and guesstimate is that there may be as many as 78, 79, 80 bowl-eligible teams. And some of it is, I think a year ago there were 116 bowl-eligible teams in the universe, and this year there are 124, something like that. So definitely there are more teams, and there are more bowl-eligible teams, and including Texas State, that is bowl-eligible for the first time in its short FBS history, is eligible for a bowl the first year that that they are in that pool. So kudos to Texas State.
Does that make the negotiations a little bit more difficult, though? Just because those spots might be a little bit more. There might be a little bit more competition for those spots, right?
It definitely is. It's a matter of supply and demand. Yeah. And right now there are more teams. More than likely, there will be more bowl-eligible teams for the number of open bowls. And I think that every conference that is sitting here today with additional bowl-eligible teams are going to be faced with the possibility of not being able to place their teams. Last year there were two teams not selected, Middle Tennessee and Louisiana Tech, and my guess is that there may be double that amount when it's all said and done this year that will be bowl eligible that won't have places. And again, it speaks to the need for new bowls, and the Sun Belt obviously has been part of that with the creation of the Camellia Bowl in Montgomery for next year, along with the creation of bowls in Boca Raton and Bahamas and Miami. So I still believe as well that the system, may be able to accommodate, even more bowls in the future, and the Sun Belt certainly has not stopped considering and looking and evaluating whether there are future bowls down the road for us.
Right. And one more, and I'll let you go. In your conversations with the bowl reps, I mean, how do they feel about the possibility of inviting teams multiple years in a row? Obviously, last 2 years the same teams from your league have been in the New Orleans and in Mobile. I mean, are they guarding against that, or is that something that they wouldn't have an interest in inviting a team for a third year in a row?
Well, again, I think bowls, just like I try to make sure or try to place our team in the best possible bowl spot, the bowls are also looking at at what team they can, or what matchup they can create, what type of economic impact can be provided in terms of hotel rooms, what type of television matchup it can be, and this isn't the first time that teams have gone back to the same bowl 2 consecutive years, and there are many occasions, and there have been many occasions when there have been 3, 4, 5 times in a row that a team has played in a particular bowl. So it's not uncommon. Ideally, you want to be able to spread teams around and provide different bowl experiences. But again, at the end of the day, the bowl is going to make the best possible business decision that it can make, and I say that loudly and clearly, that it's the bowl that determines what team to select in the at-large pool, and not necessarily the conference or any particular commissioner.
Right. Thanks, Karl.
Good.
Thank you, Troy, and thank you, Karl. That's all the questions and time we have for you today. We do appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Everyone can stand by. We'll have Trent Miles of Georgia State on shortly. Please stand by.